Thank you for joining me on this webinar about Porterville Light Industrial. My name is Rob Boyce, and I am the CEO of Warehouse Partners. Alongside my business partner, Aaron Volp, who is our Chief Operating Officer, we develop light industrial, multi-tenant metal building projects, and we create those investment vehicles for ourselves and our investment partners. Warehouse Partners has been experts in this space for more than a decade. We have participated in management, leasing, sales, acquisition, disposition, A to Z under the asset management umbrella. We have seen it all and done it all in the multi-tenant light industrial space. Some of you may know it as mini warehouse. Some of you call it small bay industrial. It has many names, but it is essentially the same thing. It is a metal building with a roll-up door. It's got a small office, an interior restroom, shop sink, that type of thing. And it's going to be your bread and butter light industrial. And so why this asset class, you might ask? Well, I'm from New York, and we didn't really have these light industrial business parks. And I was fortunate enough to move to California. My now wife, is from the Central Valley, which is the center part of California. And one of the things I learned really quickly is that there seems to be unlimited demand for these type of small warehouses, and these could be used by small businesses, your contractors, maybe industrial stores, that type of thing. And I was really fortunate right after the recession to be assigned to a portfolio of these. They had a number of challenges during the recession, including leasing and some operational fixes that needed to be made. And it was my job to become the light industrial practice manager for my company at the time. And, I learned so much from that ground level exposure, doing the leasing, doing the property management, meeting those type of tenants. And it became quickly apparent to me that there is not enough light industrial multi-tenant assets in the state of California. That's really what we're going to talk about today. And so you may have seen some of these in other states in good quantity, specifically in California because of the multitude of challenges that you may read about in the press: high taxes, not in my backyard, environmental concerns, high prices. It can go on and on. But that is one of the phases of our investment thesis, is that we're satisfying the marketplace for our small warehouse. And so we don't really have a lot of competition in the space. Statistically, there were millions of square feet built maybe 30 or 40 years ago, and it's continued to taper off more and more. In today's market, only a couple 100,000 square feet, if even, are being built at the current pace. Warehouse Partners will probably be the largest purveyor of small multi-tenant metal warehouse business parks, but that's for the future. Let's talk about today. So we're going to talk about Porterville, and we have a 10-year opportunity zone project that is just underway. It is on 10 acres. We're going to develop 140,000 square feet of light industrial business park. It will be 2 long buildings, and it will have a centralized parking lot. It's going to have all the bells and whistles that a light industrial tenant is going to need. My partner and I have signed well more than 1,000 leases and renewals in this space. We can count on less than one hand the number of evictions we've had in that decade plus of experience. And those were tenants that we did not put in, and we inherited from a realtor, broker, or another landlord. And so really working with the tenants and understanding the space, understanding the market dynamics on how the tenants might see the project, and what lease rate might they lease and for how long. Part of our investment thesis is how far do potential tenants need to commute? And that's part of the due diligence that we go and, we look at these deals, which are primarily going to be off market or have some sort of major challenge that we can use our years of experience to work through and sort of create a deal for ourselves. And for Porterville, we sourced a deal off market. We got an excellent deal on the land, And like any good real estate project, you have to start with a good deal, and that's what we have here. It was properly zoned. It is entitled by right for light industrial, and it just so happens to be in an opportunity zone. We feel as though it works as a good project for light industrial. It just so happens to have the opportunity zone benefit. A number of our past investors have been wanting opportunity zone to go along with our light industrial developments. And so we have both here. If I were to venture forecast, maybe about 50% of our investors would enjoy the opportunity zone benefits, and in the other half, just like a good light industrial project, or they like our program and project. So without further ado, Porterville. So Porterville is in the middle of the state, Central California, and we have a lot of experience in that part of the world. And one of the reasons we like Central California is sort of that market dynamic, and you can get a good deal if you work hard enough. And there are a lot of components to that economy that aren't being satisfied. And for us, it's that light industrial component. Not enough is being built. And, if you're going to have 10 acres, like we like to look for, a lot of people are going to try to build a single tenant project. And there's pros and cons of doing that, certainly. But growing up in the business of multi-tenant, my parents had multi-tenant medical office and laboratory developments and investments. Been doing my whole life. One of the benefits is if you lose a tenant, it's not going to challenge your project economically severely. If you're going to lose an anchor tenant, or if you have a single, say triple net prime tenant, anchor tenant, that type of thing, that really hurts your economics on any project that you're trying to run. So losing one or two tenants, or asking one or two tenants to leave the project, isn't going to change our forecast dramatically. And we always like that reduced liability, right? We're trying to reduce our risk on some of our projects. And so having that multitude and a sort of a different tenant profile for the project, I think reduces the exposure to certain elements of the economy that might come and go. Cycles come and things change over time. And so currently we like e-commerce. We have a lot of e-commerce tenants that, as a growing part of our tenant base, industrial storage. And then of course, your bread and butter, light industrial tenants, contractors, makers, people that build things, park their truck, go on their trade route, that type of thing, and really like those type of businesses. And we've had good success with them. And so, we look at Porterville, and we think about the commute times that those potential tenants might face. And so as part of our investment thesis, if they're commuting more than 45 minutes, an hour, that famous California traffic, might they pay, a couple pennies extra to have, a brand new industrial complex in their backyard? And I would wager maybe 9 times out of 10, the answer would be yes. We're essentially selling their time back to them. And as a business owner myself, and, a lot of people on this webinar are going to be business owners and investors, time is sort of the value commodity today, right? There's not enough of it. And giving people a couple hours back to invest in their business or families or themselves is no small thing. And so we look at Porterville, and we see a lot of similarities to our current project in Madera, California, where we had the same thesis that people were traveling 45 minutes and then doing the same at the end of the day, if not more. So we like municipalities that are sort of off on their own. We like municipalities that are business friendly. We like municipalities that want and like our asset class. We find that Porterville is very business friendly. It's easy to get all of the stakeholders assembled, and that's what we found. We got this project, like stated earlier, off market, and that's really a good start to any project. Warehouse Partners is going to do extreme due diligence on any project. We couldn't speculate on how many projects that we look at that aren't appropriate, and we really like this Porterville project for a number of different reasons. So it does have the opportunity zone benefit. And so therefore it's going to be a 10-year project, right? It's going to be to satisfy those opportunity zone benefits. To go through them really quickly, if somebody has capital gains, they can invest those capital gains into this project and shield the tax event until December 31st, 2026. One would speculate in that time the project would start to cash flow. There might be a cash out refinance. We like that the upside on the project is, there's a lot of potential tenants that we can capture. And so you're going to look for a couple of things on this particular project. You're going to look specifically for value creation. And you're also going to achieve cash flow, and you're also going to achieve a number of different things over the course of the investment. The metric to pick out really is the return on cost and the value creation. We talk to investors, and some of them might be focused on internal rate of return, which this has a very excellent internal rate of return and cash on cash. And we can dive into metrics, and please email or schedule a call with me, and you will get that information at the end of this webinar. And we can sort of dive into the particulars on the returns, how we arrive to those, and sort of the nuanced details on financing. We find that there's not a lot of development in multi-tenant light industrial. There's a lot of upside. The likelihood of someone building one of these to compete with us is slim to almost none. Never say never, but we like to think that because of our operational excellence, our experience in running these type of projects, from the management, leasing, A to Z, it would be very difficult for somebody to compete with us. For warehouse partners, our developments are going to look and feel the same as much as possible. A lot of people draw comparisons to self-storage, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, when that was the opportunity. They're ever present today, and maybe that asset class is maybe a little long in the tooth. It is not as good as it was. But for multi-tenant light industrial, for a lot of psychological perceptions, some of them real because of the financing aspect, is difficult to finance this many small tenants. But there's so much upside, and there's so many tenants to capture, and there are not a lot of competing projects that would be of similar quality. Let's talk about those qualities really quickly before we run out of time. You are going to see a 10-acre light industrial business park. It's going to be gated and fenced. You're going to see, some nice landscaping, keypad access. You're going to see more than adequate lighting, video security 24/7. So it's going to be a very safe and clean project. A lot of like-kind tenants as part of that management operational excellence program. You're not going to see cannabis to find business. It's just not our business. It doesn't work in our tenant mix. You're not going to see a lot of quasi retail. You're not going to see, retail. It's very much your bread and butter light industrial, right? Contractor, light industrial stores, that type of thing. We discussed that. It's going to have all the bells and whistles that we learned from those years of experience. Then that includes interior restrooms. That is no small thing. Conditioned office space. So it's going to have a small, sometimes people call it a shoebox office, but just enough to run a business out of. And we want to preserve the warehouse floor area. So those build outs are minimal in terms of, it's going to be mostly light industrial warehouse space. And the big kicker is these tenants really want yard space, gated and fenced, an outdoor area, right? Typically, these are going to be chain link outdoor fenced areas where they can wash things, store things outside during the day, whatever a tenant might need to do, and access through a drive aisle at the rear, right? And so they can access the warehouse from multiple points. And these are the really big ticket items that we see that are maybe corners cut on other projects that we've seen or operated, and we try to add value to in the past. I mean, we're talking about track record. There's certain things that you cannot overcome, and that is why we do development. You can add, new paint, you can restripe a parking lot, but some of the accoutrement, the benefits, the amenities, whatever you want to call them, that these tenants really need or want to make a complete industrial park, they're really hard to add later on, and they're going to be efficient and brand new. They're going to have all the benefits of just that new construction. And I don't want to omit the importance of having a recessed truck well. And this is where you can have a loading dock, and the truck would drive down and unload at grade or at street level. And that is a critical component that you don't see on a lot of light industrial projects. It's expensive to add to an existing project, an older project, and it creates a lot of traffic concerns. So getting that in a new development with a well thought out traffic pattern, tenant layout, those are all essential things to a good project. And as my mother used to tell me, Rob, you're not going to make a lot of money on your initial leases, but get them in and you'll make your profits on the subsequent renewals and those relationships that you will build with the tenants over a long period of time. And it's been my pleasure over these last, 35 years of doing commercial real estate to realize that that is very much a true statement. My parents taught me a lot about commercial real estate, and I'm seeing a lot of that bear out in our projects. And so that is one of the pride points for me. I think for my business partner Aaron Volp and I, we get to see a great cross section of America, people making things, people reshoring things. Those are really important components to our economy today. Small business owners and understanding their concerns and their forward thinking about the economy, and working with our investors. And that's been really the best benefit. And obviously building a project, it is extremely challenging, and it is really fulfilling when we overcome a lot of the challenges, particularly in California. And again, you see a lot of these things built in other states where it's really easy to build, 5 or 6 of these on the same street. You're not going to find that here in California. So some of you are thinking, why California? And 2 reasons. One is we know the market really well, and 2, it is challenging. And so let's get it built, and then let's enjoy the project, and look forward to satisfying the tenant demand, and delivering an excellent project with realistic forecasts, and hopefully trying to exceed some of those forecasts. And so if you want to schedule a call with myself, my business partner, Aaron Volp, and you have specific questions that you want to go over, feel free to email us, and you'll get that information at the end of this webinar. Schedule a one-on-one phone call or Zoom meeting, and we can go over project specifics. We can go over our forecast for the economics. And we can talk about the really nuanced details of Porterville Light Industrial. We can talk about Opportunity Zone. And really, we can talk about why you watch this podcast today, your interest in light industrial or warehouse partners. And we look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Rob Boyce, CEO of Warehouse Partners, and it has been my pleasure to have you join us on this webinar. Thank you.